Welcome to Sweet Tea Hospitality. I'm Karen Conrad, and on today's episode, we are going to be talking about one of the top ROI, return on investment improvements, you can make in your home and investment properties, the bathroom. Plus, I know that if my bathroom is nicer, I just feel better about everything to start the day. You won't want to miss this. Thank you for joining me today on Sweet Tea Hospitality, inspiration for your heart and home. I'm Karen Conrad, and I've got a question for you. Have you ever eaten at a high-end restaurant, and when you went to the restroom, it was a total mismatch? I have, and surprisingly often. The result? My whole impression of that restaurant changed, because most every person that eats at a restaurant visits the bathroom, and if it isn't clean, you know where I'm going. And let me tell you, that is the same thing for our homes. The property that we were renovating, called the Coastal Cottage, had some real doozies for the bathrooms. They were dated, laid out poorly, dark, and dingy. And as much as I wanted to save money on the project, the thought of taking a shower in the current bathrooms was not something I was interested in, not even to save money on the project. The thought of taking a shower in the current bathrooms just wasn't good, and I would not want to sell or rent a home that provided that negative experience for people in the bathrooms at the Coastal Cottage. So we updated them all, and I am so glad we did. You know, people that visit our homes, they stay at our home, or they look at our properties to purchase, learn a whole lot about the home from the bathroom. Bathrooms is a room that most everyone visits, and a place where we can show hospitality not only to our guests, but probably more importantly to our family. Wow, this was really something. Levi just gave me a call, and he said that they are starting to do demo in the small bathroom that's off the kitchen and the garage in the man cave. And I'm just kind of like, I know we need to do it, but honestly, I'm a little nervous, because once you start chipping off that tile and going in and removing tile in the shower, there's no turning back. So I'm headed down there. I'm going to talk to Melchor, our general contractor, and see if I can get a price on bringing that cultured marble in. Let's hope that decision to demo this bathroom, it doesn't cost me $10,000. I'm interrupting Levi in the midst of demoing this bathroom.
Hey everyone.
So he is piece by piece. Show him what you're using. What do you call this?
Breaker bar and I guess I got
a mini sledgehammer. I'll tell you, this house was built really, really well. Unfortunately, some of the things in it are very dated. What was really funny, when I looked at this tile, I remember like growing up, like your grandma and grandpa, my parents had this same tile in their house, and it was actually pink. This is almost pink. This is sort of a taupe.
Popular item in the 80s.
It is 70s or 60s, actually. Yeah, so I was just trying to work with this, because, oh my goodness, once you start taking tile off the walls, you know you're going right into sheetrock and a lot of expense. I tried all sorts of ideas using the power of black and white, which I love to do, but you know what, at the end of the day, this just needs to come down. And I'm not going to show you the toilet, but let me tell you, this toilet needs to go as well. So this is one of our 3 little challenging bathrooms, but this of all is like, wow, this is going back in time, and we just have got to get this updated. We're in what's the current master bathroom, but remember, this is the area that I just felt like wasn't the best fit for a master bedroom going forward. And it's a little bit of an odd bathroom. It looks updated, which I'm really happy about. But if you notice, the toilet actually blocks the entrance coming in. And so we're looking at turning this into a Jack and Jill. So an opening on each side with barn doors so that we turn these into the 2 bedrooms, and it gives access to a bathroom without having to go to the master. And I want to move this toilet out of this main entry space and move it into what's currently a closet that's not exactly useful. So we'll open up the wall, move the toilet in there, and try to work with the current shower and the ceramic tile to keep our expenses down with this redo in this bathroom. We're in my workshop in Southlake, Texas, which means it's time to solve some problems that we were running into at the Coastal Cottage. These bathrooms were something else. It was really interesting when we looked at the house, and remember, I bought this house on FaceTime, so when I walked in it the first time, it didn't look that bad, meaning it didn't look like I had to redo all these bathrooms. But once you start looking closely at the details that were going on in these bathrooms, we quickly came to the conclusion that we had to renovate these. It really would be a risk for us to keep the old 60s tile in place, because what would happen is someone would walk into the property. We had spent enough at this point that we needed to make sure that everything lined up with it being a higher end house. As soon as they walked into a bathroom, it would be like, well, God, they did everything, but they didn't fix the bathroom. Plus, this is one of the areas that you can get a nice return on your investment. It's right up there with the kitchen and with that curb appeal. So we had to face what we were going to do with what I call the man cave bathroom. That bathroom was small and still is small. We didn't change the footprint. It was dark and it had that 1960s taupish, pinkish tile. One of the funny things about this is we had the same tile in the house that I grew up in. And it's like, I know this has been around for a while. So we did make the decision to go ahead and chip that tile out. It wouldn't have been that bad had it just been in the shower, but that tile was lining the walls as well. So we went to town, got that chipped out, and really gutted it, you might say. We got the floor out, we got the tile out from the bottom of the shower, and made a decision that we were going to replace it with cultured marble. Now, when we went into this renovation, and if you're working on something like this in your own house, I just went to the assumption that we would do some sort of a tile, subway tile, decorative tile. But my general contractor really encouraged me to look at this cultured marble. It's really interesting because they can make a lot of different molds and designs, almost anything that you want. But I chose a very subtle design in a grayish and cream swirl because I didn't want the shower to be a statement in the bathroom. Also, knowing how much a bathroom costs to renovate is going to help you to make a decision to make a choice that is not overly trendy. Now, I'm going to take you back a few years, but in our house in Minnesota decades ago, we built a home in Prior Lake, Minnesota. And during that time, hunter green was really popular. Do you remember that? So I got the bright idea that we were going to make that master bathroom really look amazing. So I had hunter green and cream tiles on the floor. I had chosen a white tile with a hunter green and silver type trim on it around the tub. And guess what? Within about 3 years, it looks so dated, and it was such a bold statement that I had to replace everything. And so I learned that lesson and carried that into the decisions in this house, that we were still deciding if it was going to be something that we would sell, or if it's something that we're going to hang on to for a rental, or even as we're remodeling parts of our house here in Southlake, Texas, always going with something that is not overly trendy, that is going to last for several years through the ups and downs of the design trends. Next, the old master bathroom had that toilet that came out into the middle of the doorway. And I had to figure out what I was going to do about that, because if I left it the way it was such a bad look. But if I looked at just the space we had in that bathroom, there was nowhere to move that toilet. And so we closed off one of the closets, and we framed out a door with access from the bathroom back to that closet, and we made it into the toilet room. It worked amazing. So that was a big decision, and I think one of the really good decisions that we made to change the whole feel of that bathroom and really add value to those 2 bedrooms that came into that Jack and Jill. And then finally, when we look at the bedroom that went across in the master bathroom, utilizing the vanity that came from this former master bedroom in there saved us a lot of money. We painted it, made them match, and I was able to buy a brand new vanity that had some style to it, still had the coastal look. And guess where I found it? I found it in the surplus store. Standing there with other vanities, I chose the size and the color that I wanted, and here was the best part. It already had the Calcutta quartz in the box that went with that vanity. So I was able to use what it would have cost me to add it on this bathroom vanity. I was able to use that to put it on the island that we added in the kitchen. Do you know the bathroom is one of the rooms that you can pretty much guarantee anybody that comes to visit you for a holiday, a ministry event, picnic, family gathering is going to use a bathroom. And when your guests stay over, they're going to be taking a shower and cleaning up in a bathroom. So these are rooms that are really important to pay attention to create that hospitality, that feeling of welcomeness in your home. You might wonder, what does scripture have to do with bathrooms? And I would say that's a really good question. It might feel like a stretch, but hang in there with me. It's very important that our bathrooms really reflect the hospitality and the warmth and quality of our home. Hebrews 13:2 says this, "Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares." Do you know, I've been to several really amazing restaurants all around the nation and really around the world. But this one situation stands out to me. We were in Florida and we went out to eat at a really nice restaurant. I went to go use the restroom, the bathroom, and when I walked in, it just like spoiled my whole perspective, you might say, of the restaurant. Why? Because the bathrooms were like a completely different space than the restaurant. They weren't clean, they weren't kept up, and that presence of hospitality or that feeling of just enjoying the meal just kind of got interrupted. And when we have people come over to our home, whether it's through guests, maybe it is strangers, maybe we hold a ministry small group in our house and somebody brings a friend. What if it is an angel unaware? But people that visit our home, that stay at our home, or even look at our properties to purchase them, learn a whole lot about us and the home from the bathroom. Bathrooms are a room most everyone visits and a place that we can show hospitality to our guests, family, and maybe angels unaware. Dave, we had a huge problem with the small bathroom, and here's one of those things where when we purchased the house, we're like, hey, I can make this work. I was like all Pollyanna, like, oh, I can make this work. I'll make it look retro, no problem. Well, when we got into it, we realized like, oh my goodness, nobody is gonna wanna go in this bathroom or take a shower.
No.
So we started going after the pink tile.
The pink tile. It was so powerful, it just like smacked you when you walked in the door. And inside the shower, there was no light. So you felt like you got lost in this dark tunnel of pink, which made it even worse.
It made it worse. So
Gotta go.
It had to go. And so we were kind of like, okay, let's do it now. What's it going to take? This isn't going to be that hard. And so Levi and Dave started chipping away. And I'm telling you, that tile did not want to leave that wall.
It's like, I'm here.
It was. And so we realized like this is too much for us. So we had to call in Ernesto, and it's like, okay, Ernesto, he's one of the guys that was helping us, and you know, he's just strong and used to doing that kind of work, and we had to have him come in and tear out that bathroom literally to the studs in the shower. And it did cost us some money, but in the end, again, it was probably something that we should have figured in, we should have done. And I think at the end of the day, I was so happy with the way things turned out. I think it's actually going to be a benefit for us that we decided to move forward with that.
Definitely.
Let's break down the cost of updating these two bathrooms. The new vanity was $425. The cultured marble showers and the glass for both bathrooms was $2,750. The faucets and hardware was $275. The raised shower ceiling in the small bathroom where we had to redo that framing, the framing part was $325. The porcelain tile on the floors in both bathrooms was $1,175. Now that does include installation, so if you are a do-it-yourselfer or you want to try to take on a project, you'd be able to save some money there. The vanity lights above the sink was just $190 for both lights. Talk about a big impact for a small price. Those lights make all the difference. A new toilet, I had to definitely replace one of them, was just $149. And by the way, that was one of the items that I was able to pick up at the surplus store. The shelves, the custom shelves above both toilets or in the toilet room was $350. This is a great way to add character to a property. And if you don't have someone that can make those custom ones like I did because we were doing a large project, you can purchase those shelves from Wayfair, even at Home Depot, even at Kirkland's, and add those shelves yourself in the areas of your bathroom. And finally, to move the toilet and add the door for the toilet room was $380. So all in for both bathrooms for this update was just $8,967. Considering what it could cost to update these bathrooms, just using the things that we had that worked and really searching out some bargains, I think that the $8,967 was a really good value, and I am certain with that amount of investment that it added at least that, if not more, to the value of the home. But the impact that it's going to have on the people that come into the home and use those bathrooms, priceless. Creating bathrooms that are clean and bright adds tremendous value to our homes and our hearts. It is a room that everyone spends time in, whether we like to admit it or not, and guests usually always visit. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to reflect excellence and hospitality in our homes. A reminder to share about Liftable.tv with your friends and family, and I invite you to visit my website at KarenConrad.net. Thank you so much for joining me today on Sweet Tea Hospitality. I'm Karen Conrad, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Sweet Tea Hospitality.